Now, this interrogation went on for a number of hours. What we've showed you happened in approximately the first 20 minutes to 2 hours. Now, remember, after speaking with police, Clenney would eventually be let go. And as far as investigators were concerned, the case was not a murder, but rather an act of self-defense. It wasn't until months later, after the family of Christian Abumseli would not let the case die, and the autopsy report did not support her story, was she arrested. But also joining us, a special guest for this segment, forensic psychiatrist and body language expert and expert trial witness, Carole Lieberman. Carole, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll start with you, because I'm trying to get a sense of what you think, or what are we seeing? I know I got a list of statements she was making that make me sort of think twice about what we're hearing, but I want to get your initial thoughts on what we're seeing there from a body language standpoint.
Well, you know, she's, at this point, apparently she hasn't been told yet that he is dead. But when as the interview progresses and they do tell her, at this point, yes, this is part of it, they've already told her, she goes through the stages of grief, you know, in a jumbled kind of way. Her body language shows denial and anger and bargaining and depression. Actually, what we saw just before was her, you know, praying to God. That was basically his distress. You know, she's very, very distressed. But, you know, earlier on, there's a part when they first tell her that he's dead, and she gasps, and she puts her hands on her neck and on her knee in a way where she's basically self-soothing. She's cuddling herself. And there's an interesting part right after that. She says she wants a hug. And the man to the left there offers to hug her. And she has this automatic reflex reaction where she leans back and she doesn't want him to hug her. And that is indicative. Women who act like that have typically been sexually abused at one time. And so then, of course, he backed off.
Interesting. You know, I didn't notice that. But what I did notice, I want to get your take on. Do you think she knew that cameras were on her? I picked out a number of things that she said that almost seemed very self-serving under the circumstances. And again, she didn't know early on that he was dead, but she was still saying, you know, I can't believe how my day went.
Yes.
Let us talk together. Let us have a chance to speak. We can apologize to each other. Just setting the groundwork, as far as I'm concerned, for some sort of defense here. We know earlier she was on the phone with her mom before she was brought to the station, and she reminds her that this can be a self-defense case. So your thoughts on whether you think she knew that she was on camera?
Oh, I think she always thinks she's on camera. You know, before she allegedly killed Christian, that is just, you know, she takes her OnlyFans acting and into the rest of her life. But yes, when she was saying about, oh, what a horrible day I've had, really?
Exactly.
He's had a lot worse day than you've had.
Exactly. She's so worried about herself.
Yes, yes. You know, also, there's a time, she, as I was saying, she displays different kinds of emotions. There's one time when she's talking about how she wanted to go to the hospital, but another time she talks about that and she bangs the table. And another time she's talking about how when she was holding him and he was bleeding, she told the security lady that, you know, where are the people? Where are the EMTs? Why aren't they here yet? You know, that's her anger that she's expressing at other people, blaming other people for what happened to him.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. I want to go back to you, Dr. Lieberman, and talk about this victimhood issue. We've seen in other videos where she's clear to talk about the fact that not only is he a victim, but she's a victim, and she's not used to being a victim. I think here she asks the same question. She says, you know, I want...
Aggressor, even though she wants us to believe now that this was self-defense. And there seemed to be a pattern in it, that she would find all these things that she would be yelling at him for. You know, he was always apologizing for whatever problem she came up with at that particular time. It was that cycle of, you know, making him apologize. And it's really very sad. And, you know, she did make herself out to be a victim, that you're doing all these horrible things to me. I mean, right before this incident, this killing, let's just say, he had gone out for sandwiches and he was gone for too long. Do you remember? And she was suspecting that, she was always jealous, always suspecting that he was with other women, and so that put her in the position of a victim as well in her mind.
Absolutely. And all the emotions you're talking about, I think they all played out in that interrogation room. So again, it'll be up to the police, prosecutors, and ultimately a jury to sort that all out. Dr. Carole Lieberman, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to be with us. Truly appreciate that. Bernarda.